Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're talking all about the legal process when it comes to purchasing a property. So by the end of this video, you'll fully understand the legal stages. We're going to go through each stage in detail from an investor point of view. So when you're buying your very next property, you know exactly what to expect. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Marco. I'm a portfolio landlord, property investor, developer, and mentor. And I'm very passionate about helping people invest in property. Now make sure you stay tuned to the very end of this video because we'll be talking about memorandum of sale, protocol forms, raising inquiries, exchange of completion, but also I'm going to throw in some really good other nuggets that from an investor point of view, from a property investor point of view, are so crucial and so important to the legal part of purchasing a property. So number one is ideally, before you even purchase the property, you need to instruct a solicitor, or at least know which solicitor who you're going to choose and work with. Now, if you're still struggling to find a solicitor and want to use the ones that I know, like, use and trust myself, then head to my website, ms7.uk, click on use our suppliers, and I can put you in touch with our solicitors. So number two is the memorandum of sale, otherwise known as the memo of sale. Now let's assume you've already had your offer accepted. Congratulations. And the memo of sale is sent by the agent to both solicitors. And this basically is normally a single piece of A4 that says, this is the property, this is the amount, here are the buyer's solicitor's details, here are the seller's solicitor's details. Now please speak to each other and complete the transaction. It's as simple as that. So if your agent hasn't already issued the memo of sale, really important, I'd chase and follow it up because some agents issue them straight away, which is great. Others may not have the processes to remind them, or maybe the seller is waiting to choose their solicitor and they can't issue this memo of sale yet. So really important part in the process. Okay, so number three, we come on to what we call the protocol forms. And these are things like the title, the contract, the property information form, the fixture and fittings form. So all these forms we get from the seller, from the vendor. Now sometimes of course we have to wait for these forms, it could take a few days, it could take weeks depending on where the seller is. However, in the meantime, there's two things we can be doing. So number one is if we're buying with a mortgage, well, let's get our mortgage offer. So we're assuming you already have your agreement in principle or decision in principle, whatever you want to call it, but we need to get the formal mortgage offer now. So your mortgage broker can be submitting the application and hopefully, someone can go around to value the property, or maybe they can do the value from the desktop, and let's get that mortgage offer in writing. And if you don't have a mortgage broker, again, head to my website, ms7.uk, click on use our suppliers, and I can put you in touch with the mortgage broker that I know, like, use and trust. Now, there's one other thing we can be doing whilst we're waiting for these forms to come our way, which is a survey. And you have two options. You could do a typical standard home buyer survey, or you could do a structural survey. And again, you can arrange for this in this gap between waiting for these forms. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not essential to do, they're optional, but it's completely up to you. If it gives you more peace of mind to undergo and undertake these surveys, then yes, go for it. Okay, so number four, let's assume that we've got the forms, we've got the property information form, the fixture and fittings, the draft contract, the title from the other side, and our solicitor is going to be reviewing these documents. Now here's when we normally send off for what are called searches. So again, there's lots of different searches you can undergo, but again, your solicitor can best advise on which searches to opt for and to choose from. Now, you don't have to wait to do the searches now. You could instruct your solicitor to do the searches slightly earlier, especially if you're looking to exchange and complete in a fast manner. So yes, you're going to have to pay that money for the searches, and maybe the sales fall through and you can't get a refund on the searches. So that's a risk you're going to have to be okay taking. But again, it all depends where you are and how fast you want to push through this purchase. So when we're raising inquiries, again, we're asking questions effectively to the other side, things that we're not sure about, things that we need clarification and answers to. And you could find there's several rounds of inquiries. You may raise the first round of inquiries or 10 questions and maybe they only come back with 7 answers, in which case, you're going to be coming back with a second round to get those 3 answers. So now is when your solicitor will write a report to you, based on the results of the searches, based on the information that's provided in the property information form and everything else. And you'll get a report from your solicitor detailing any, points to focus on, where the risk lies, etc. Well, now we're ready to what's called exchange contracts. And exchanging contracts, in my opinion anyway, is probably the most important part of this process, even more so than completing on the property that we'll come onto very shortly. Because once you've exchanged contracts, it's very hard to go back. So the sale or the purchase, whatever it is pretty much guaranteed because there are penalties on both sides if they don't proceed. Now, typically, if you're buying a property and you're exchanging contracts, you're asked to put about a 10% deposit down, and that's 10% of the purchase price. Okay, now we come on to completion, the final step, and completion is normally 1 or 2 weeks after exchange. And once we've completed, of course, the property is ours. We can pick up the keys and do whatever we need to do to bring it up to standard. Maybe there's a refurb, maybe there's not. Maybe it's already tenanted and it's just a turnkey investment, or maybe in fact we have to find a tenant and rent it out and either manage it ourselves or give it to an agent to manage. So that's the full start to finish of the legal process when it comes to purchasing a property. And yes, this is more so from an investor point of view, from a buy-to-let property investing point of view, rather than your own living home. But yes, most of this is still applicable to your own living home, so I hope you can get value there. Now understand the legal part of the process when it comes to purchasing a property. All the very best with your property investing day. Goodbye.